All right, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody, to our meeting here today. It's a beautiful day that was ordered up, and glad to have some nice weather after the change that we just got. And we are glad to have some rain for our park system. It's good stuff. Our grass needed it. So with that, we're going to start the meeting by reviewing the minutes, and I assume my fellow commissioners had a chance to take a look at those. Any questions, edits, comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been motion seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Motion passes. Resolution number 29925.
Yes, Commissioner, this is a recommendation for the fiscal 13-14 operating budget for Parks and Recreation. You have a memo in your packet, kind of outlines the highlights of that particular budget, and then there's some backup documentation that touches both on the revenue and the expense side. We would recommend approval, and Chief Financial Officer and Budget Manager Sherry Van Winkle is here if you have any questions.
Okay, are there any questions or comments regarding the budget for 2013-14 for Parks and Rec?
I just want to congratulate you on a very well-presented budget and made it very easy for me to read, and I appreciate that, and very understandable, and I'm just excited that that's the way it's going to be from here on out.
I'm going to second that. That's exactly what I was going to say. Thanks, Sherry.
And it's nice to see a small fund balance available, and I think that's a good step in the right direction also. That's to be commended.
Very much so. Okay, with that, any other further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Resolution passes. On to the next item. It's a discussion item regarding a name request. Naming request for Broadway Boulevard between 8th and 12th Street.
Yes, Commissioners, Jim Stacy is here, and Jim's with DST, and he's prepared the memo that you have in your packet, and I'll just turn it over to Jim.
Very good.
Got some supplemental
Okay.
material.
All right.
If you would
Okay.
please.
Sure.
It's a biographical sketch, an article that Kevin Collison wrote when Tom's retirement was announced. Before we get into this business, I'd just like to make a personal observation. This is not intended to be flattery, because I know that it would not influence your value-based deliberations. Also, I'm only the messenger on this case, which I think will stand on its own merits, but I wanted to say thanks to you all as perhaps a fellow board member, LCRA, and recently the Revenue Commission. I know you guys put in a lot of time and effort for some very important assets of Kansas City, the parks, boulevards, community centers, zoo, and so forth. And I understand you meet every other week, which is twice as much as most of the other boards and commissions, so thanks doubly for what you do.
Thank
And
you.
also, I'd say that you're fortunate, and we are in Kansas City, to have an executive director and assistant director like Mark and Steve and their colleagues, who have accomplished a great deal the last few years on very, very little, and held steady. And congratulations on the funding, the electoral decision and funding, so
Yes.
good luck with that.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to recommend for your consideration today the designation of Broadway from 8th Street to 12th Street as an honorary Tom McDonald Way. And knowing of your policy to grant such designations only in rare cases, a great deal of thought went into this. And I hope today to recognize the unique qualities that Tom has and that would compel consideration for this honor. The contributions to his hometown are hard to count and catalog, especially since he's kind of shy. He's fairly self-effacing and doesn't put his name on much, and there's not a DST sign any place on any of the buildings downtown. He's done so much for Kansas City, but since we're talking about Broadway 8th to 12th, it'd be good to focus on that area. In about 1970, Tom decided he had two goals. One was to grow DST into a world-class company and employ thousands of Kansas Cityans, and the other was to do it in downtown in an area that was very deteriorated, to help rebuild his home downtown in the process. And I think he's accomplished both of those goals pretty well. Stories about the improvement to Broadway, but also the surrounding neighborhoods, are legendary. The 11th Street program has done so much to the neighborhoods and to other community assets, it's kind of hard to tally. And so without sounding terribly dramatic, I think that once in a great while, an individual like this comes along that really creates a significant impact for the good for a city. And I think that many would say that Tom represents such a leader for the good in Kansas City. So I would hope that you would consider and hope you would concur that it's fitting in his lifetime to recognize the contributions that Tom has made coincidental with his retirement December 31st, and a program that'll happen about that time by designated Broadway 8th to 12th Tom McDonald, honorary Tom McDonald Way. Be happy to answer any questions, and you have not only the memo that I conveyed to Mark earlier, but bio, and then Kevin Collison, which is one of many articles that were written on Tom's retirement announcement, so.
That's great. Are there any questions or comments regarding this request at this time?
There seems to be, at the downtown council meeting, which I could not attend, I was traveling last week, there seemed to be tremendous interest in doing something, and so I think it would be very well met with the constituency of downtown and along Broadway.
Very much so. Any questions, comments?
I guess the question is, I know DST owns most of this property. Are there other stakeholders that have been contacted?
Oh, yes, there are, and they've been sort of surveyed, and it's all been very, very affirmative in conversations. There's been no pushback whatsoever.
Is Tom aware of this request?
He's not. He would probably sideline me if he.
That's why I figured as much.
Yeah, he wouldn't like that very well, because he's just,
No,
so.
of course, yes.
Yeah.
Want to make sure. Well, very good. I think his contributions speak
For them.
for themselves, very much so. And I had the pleasure of working with him. I was at the Community Foundation for years, and he served as our board chair.
Right.
And even after he was gone from the organization in a board capacity, he continued to provide counsel and was a big advocate for us. But aside from that, just the contributions I've seen, what he's done throughout the city, and he is just a great Kansas Citian, and we're lucky to have him. And I think your request is one that we will definitely look to consider, and one that's extremely appropriate, so.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for what you do.
Good seeing you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, move forward on to resolution number 29926.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a consideration, approval of a memorandum of understanding between Parks and Recreation and the Public Works Department. You have a background memo in your packet, and that's followed by the MOU itself in the form of a resolution. Fortunately, not here today, Kevin Evans is backing up for us while he's on vacation, and he's here if you have any questions. And then Sherry McIntyre, Director of Public Works, is here also. So I'll kind of leave it at that, and if either of you would like to share some more comments, or if the board has any questions, either Kevin or Sherry are here.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear from you both.
I don't have a whole lot of comments other than, we've worked this out, and we'll look forward to continuing our partnership and working together on maintaining our city to the highest standards as we can afford.
Very good, thank you. Any questions or comments regarding this agreement? We doing an okay job on those boulevards and, all right.
Hopefully our too.
Very good, no doubt in my mind. Okay, I will ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29927.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a request for an amendment with Gould Evans for design services at the Liberty Memorial. This is the Phase 2 part, which is going beyond the work that's currently under construction. There's a background memo in your packet from Travis that spells out the scope of work involved and recommend approval. And if you have any questions, Travis is here to answer those.
Travis, you want to say anything about this at this time, or any other questions from us or comments for Travis?
Well, I would comment that these items are probably very important to the protection of the one-of-a-kind assets of the World War I Museum. We have this beautiful asset base, and these are items of repair that will protect those given assets that are one-of-a-kind, and it is absolutely necessary.
Very good. Very good. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29928, which is the acceptance of gifts and contributions.
Yes, Commissioners, have one gift. Barb Wistoff, that's Randy's wife at the zoo, gave us her pottery kick wheel. It's over at Westport Roanoke Community Center.
That's great. Fantastic. Okay, is there a motion to accept the gifts?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
The motion is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. On to the director's report.
Yes, Commissioners, major construction, contracts, Travis?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Got a couple items for you today. You'll have a packet, looks like this in front of you. And that is associated with a project in the Crossroads Art District, 2101. It's the redevelopment of the former Creative Candle Building. And this is one of those projects that you seen a few weeks ago that in the Boulevard and Parkway standards, it's a land use that requires board approval. So November 27th, that meeting will have a resolution that will come before you requesting approval of two items. Basically this as an eatery on a boulevard and also the Blade sign on the end of the building here. And today, what I'd like to do is have Adam Gerber with Finkel and Williams Architecture representing the design itself and the developer, 2101 Broadway LLC, tell you a little bit about the project and see if you have any questions, you can ask them directly.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
As Travis mentioned, I'm Adam Gerber with Finkel Williams Architecture. I'm working with our client who is the owner and developer of this building at 21st Broadway. As Travis mentioned, it was previously the Creative Candles building, and so what our plans are to transform the building into a combination of mixed uses, one of which on the first floor is going to be restaurant space, which is about 3,200 square foot right now we've allocated for restaurant. We haven't tied down the exact user yet, but that's kind of the square footage that we're working with, and the balance of the first floor will be actually indoor parking. The floor plate itself is about 14,500 square feet per floor. So the remaining two floors of the building will remain as office space. They'll be remodeled for tenant lease type office space. And then the big icing on the cake on this project for us is the rooftop will be converted to a rooftop. Think of it as an event space. And some of the renderings there later in the packet, you'll see that there's a lot of seating and like a bar type environment. The event space will be used by the tenants in the building, as well as other groups who might want to hold a private event on the rooftop. The rooftop itself will have elevator access, new stair access, which will be all through the building. There will be restrooms on the rooftop, and then other amenities like a bar and some other stage type for events on the rooftop. The rooftop patio itself, we've planned for about 6,400 square feet of usable space. The rest of the balance of that will be for mechanical equipment, which can be back of house. And then around the three perimeters, as I call it, the east, west, and north of the building, I actually have a green roof around it. And we're actually working towards getting LEED Gold certified on the building, so the green roof is part of the design concept and getting those points. And as Travis mentioned, there will be the eatery on the first floor, the restaurant, and then the Blade sign on the corner building, 21st and Broadway. Per our previous meeting with Travis and the DRC group, we have basically changed or modified that sign to have a 16 feet clear underneath the sign, which is a requirement or requested by the group. And at that time, we also added a page in the documents there that kind of show how we might need to use some of the streets around the building for staging for construction during that phase when we get into construction. Right now, the construction documents have been submitted for permit to KCMO. They're in review at this point, so we're waiting for a response back from the city review and hope to begin construction early next year.
Are there any questions at this time? I know you'll be back.
Yeah. How long will all this take?
What's that?
How long will all this take?
Don't know exactly. Depends on, I think, if we have tenants in tandem with our construction. Right now, we plan to be finished with construction by, say, late summer, fall. It all begins hinges on when we begin construction at this time. Like I said, we're in for permit right now. We've got to get review comments back. The owner is a little hesitant on getting started construction until he has some tenants signed for the building. So all in all, our plans are to have this completed sometime next year.
And then, so looking at this picture here, I'm just curious
Yes.
here, is this the West Penway out here?
Yeah, that's not a notion. That is actually a Google image of Penway and looking towards I-35. Yeah.
That's where we
Yeah.
it's on the east side of West Bend.
Yeah, this
Is north.
This, exactly.
Yeah, correct. So we're actually
That's
planning
not
on.
where that alleyway sort of runs, right?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
street-
21st Street.
21st Street, and then it backs into the alleyway, right?
Correct. The
So this
main
way would be
entrance.
facing what is Penway Broadway.
Right, the main entrance is currently on Broadway. What we like to do is move the main entrance to 21st Street.
Okay.
It gives us a better street frontage on a less busy street.
Great.
And we can do some modifications there with a brand-new lobby to the building, which will also house our brand-new elevators to access all floors in the building.
So what would sit on the Broadway side, there would be some signage, but it would be up on the face.
That blade sign is on the corner, so it'd be two-sided.
Correct.
So coming down Broadway, each direction, be able to see the blade sign. And then where the existing entry is off of Broadway, that will be served as a private entry for a second-floor tenant suite, because there is an existing historic stair at that location that we would maintain use of for a second-story tenant.
And this is the only signage that you anticipate right now?
There also, you'll see that there's two New York Deli signs.
Yes.
That's just generic at this time, but there will be some restaurant or eatery signage both on Broadway and on 21st Street.
Great.
You said gold lead is the,
That's the
Gold.
target, yes. Mhm.
I was curious, I see in the picture that's about the green roof up there.
Yes.
It's more than the green roof, but is there a whole lot that you have to do to the existing building that's, has some age to it?
Actually, the building is in really great shape considering its age. It was built in, I think, 24, 25. It's an all-concrete structure. Unfortunately, the existing concrete roof is not structural enough for us to put this use on top. So we're actually going through and on top of the existing columns, we're adding new steel columns and building a whole new steel platform on top of that roof. So we are building a whole new structural frame to support this use. And also the plans are down the road is to plan for a future two-story addition on top of this building, which could be either office space and/or residential.
Yeah, okay.
So that platform would be the support for future growth. So we're designing that to carry multiple floors if needed.
I was just curious, because there's a lot of, I think it's a neat idea, the green roofs, we're talking about it
Yes.
a lot. I was just curious what it
Yeah.
really takes to change a building that's 100 years old.
Yeah, in this one, unfortunately, the roof structure itself wasn't enough to carry that load, so we were
Most are
having
gonna be
to.
like that.
Right, because they're designed for roofs, they're not designed to carry additional load like that. And the green roof itself would be a combination of lawns and grasses, taller grasses, a couple trees up there just to break it up a little bit and to soften it, but most of it's going to be natural type native-looking grasses on the rooftop.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not this time, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. The developer, Vince Bryant, joined us today. If there were any additional questions for Mr. Bryant?
Any questions? No?
Not this time.
Just to clarify, it's about a 6-month construction.
If you don't mind, you just speak from the mic, yeah, sorry.
Again, Vince Bryant, 3D Development for the project 2101 Broadway. It is about a 6-month construction from start to finish. We've been doing about 4 months' worth of just demolition and clearing out and cleaning up the old structure at this point. So we hope to have about 50% leased before we pull the trigger on full construction.
Okay,
So
thank you.
maybe January, February.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The second topic is one that you've probably been getting a lot of advertisements, maybe phone calls, emails on, and that's an update on the Google fiber hoods in the Kansas City area. And just to let you know, as far as what role the parks have been playing in that, we're currently in the process of signing 3 lease agreements for these huts. The huts will serve as a platform or a base for fiber in the fiber hoods. So to allow for the Googleization of the city, we have to allow for huts all over the city itself. Part of the agreement, the master agreement that was signed with Google indicated that the city would provide Google with spaces. In order to be somewhat strategic with this, we've looked at where their general locations were required, and then, you know, we have parks or park land available in a lot of those locations. And what this does really twofold. It allows for a timely and economic connection of our facilities to the Google Fiber once it becomes available. Because part of that agreement says Google will provide the service, but they will not provide the connection. So the further away you are from a drop point, the more it costs to be connected. So by providing some of these locations near our facilities and so forth, we've put ourselves in a good position for not only timely connection, but economic or cost-effective connection, you know, to this system. Due to the sensitive nature, we have technical committee meetings on this every week. There's a lot of non-disclosure statements and emails that go on, you know, as far as, you know, until the lease agreements, you know, to a point where it's ready to be signed. They really don't want a lot of discussion of this. But, you know, keep in mind that when we do look at areas for these huts, that we keep in mind the area itself. We try to best we can tuck them in or blend them in with the adjacent properties. Some of them will have precast panels on the exterior instead of a standard fence, so that they blend in next to the buildings that they're being put toward. And others are put in around groves of trees and that sort of thing, so that they're camouflaged from the rest of the neighborhood and that sort of thing, to try to keep them out, you know, best we can of the public eye. So we don't want to take away from our parks in order to facilitate Google, but we also want to take advantage of, you know, the opportunity that's being afforded to us. So anyway, any questions on that?
Are we at some point, you can provide us some sort of outline of, or some map that shows here are all the locations in which we're
Yes.
doing this, and this is where we're gonna, as you said, and give us examples, visual examples of what you
Absolutely.
described, that'd be great. Because it'd be good to sort of have that sort of laid out and where that sits within our parks and our system.
And we can do that for most of the facilities south of the river. They're just now looking for locations north of the river. So on the ones that are set, and they're definitely set in those areas, yes, we can put that information together and provide that to you.
That's very exciting. I'm glad we're a partner. I'm glad we're
So-
utilizing our resources for this. It's great for the city, so.
Yeah, I think don't we have one like behind the building here somewhere?
Yes, there will actually be a facility behind the training center that's back behind Water Services Training Center for this campus. And just for an idea of trying to be cost-effective with how we connect with this, we already have a fiber ring around our campus, you know, now. So by providing them a corridor and a location to put a hut, we put ourselves in a position where they have to run past our fiber ring to get to the street anyway. So it dramatically cut down on the drop connection cost of putting the facilities in, so.
Well, that allows this building, it allows Southeast Community Center to get plugged in. That's kind of the ultimate goal, too.
Sure.
That's exciting.
That's great. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Okay, Heidi, marketing report, please.
Good afternoon. I have a really brief report here for you today. So we are busy working on our holiday events, of which you are extensively aware of because they're on your calendars, I do believe. Obviously, the community center parties and our big events that we do in the marketing department are the Santa's Wonderlands. And as always, just let me know if you want to ride in the sleigh or be a part of the events in any way. They are December 7th through the 9th. And of course, those are at Gillum Penguin and Longview Tract. And then following that, we'll have the breakfast with the board and employee service awards. And that location has been determined. It's going to be at Westport Roanoke Community Center. And that's on December 12th. And we will be not only just celebrating the season, but acknowledging our employees who have been with the city for a number of years, correct? This one we do the city. In the spring, we recognize their time with Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
So.
Good to know.
And then been very busy working on a couple of RFPs that will be going out this week. The first of which is on this race director, kind of race liaison. I spoke with you guys about it months ago. We've been working on it for that long of a time, but it will be going out. This will be kind of a consolidation of the permitting of any race or rides into the Parks Department. It'll be kind of a one-stop shop for any race director or ride director. Can come in and get all of the direction that they need, and then also some assisting with notification of the neighborhoods and letting people know where the race routes are going to be, so how you will be impacted by that. So that RFP is going out this week, as well as a request for proposals for our new rebranding that we're planning to do within the Parks Department, which you guys were so generous to allocate some of that new money for. So I'm excited to be working on that. That will be an image campaign, a website redo, as well as kind of a development of a signature fundraising event for our department. So those are the main components of the rebranding effort.
Great. Now, on the race, we've got also an ordinance because Public Works ties into that too.
That's correct. There is an ordinance that will be presented, or go for the first reading, I guess, is that this week, switching all of the race permits from Public Works to Parks so that they don't have to go to each department. Now, the Public Works will still hold on to the parade permits, but this will be anything that has to do with a walk, a run, or a ride. That will just strictly have to come through Parks and Recreation only. Obviously, we're still going to check with Public Works to make sure there's nothing going on or there's no construction projects going on. But we're hoping that this will just make it a much simpler process for people who do the races in Kansas City. As you know, we're getting more and more and more, and it's huge economic impact to our city. So we just want to make it as simple as possible. And we feel by, as I mentioned earlier, doing this kind of one-stop shop, it will be very customer-friendly.
Right.
Okay,
Any questions? Comments?
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Excited.
Public hearing. While we do not have anybody signed up, I believe we have a couple guests. Would you like to come to the microphone?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Cynthia Kennedy, and I'm talking about this the project that you have picked out that's going to be worked on. And when going through this list, I just wanted you to know that the people on the east side voted for this improvement, just like the other improvement areas did. And I'm just looking through here, and I'm kind of sad that not more of the parks on the urban core was not included in the improvements, because we voted just like everybody else. And we so badly need improvements in the parks on the east side also.
What document are you speaking of? Sorry. On that.
The improvements, the ones that you're doing improvements on. And then I have been asking for improvements in Hibbs Parks for 99 years and have not gotten not one earthly thing. Every time we have any kind of anything in the park, we have to take things for kids to play with, things, tents. We have to take everything. I mean, the park brings the porta potty and things like that. But it's still, we vote also, and it's just disgusting to every time you turn around, Luke's Park, Liberty Memorial, the same ones over and over get improvements, when the east side still is facing the same things that they did 20 and 30 years ago, nothing. So I have a problem with always looking at improvements going elsewhere, but they depend on our votes for it, but we don't get it. And another thing I wanted you to know about the roundabout, since you're included in it, I have seen a lot of nice-looking roundabouts. I saw one on Highview Road the other night over in Lee Summit, which was beautiful. And the one on 87th is a disaster on Hillcrest. And I think this one's going to be a disaster because it's too narrow. The one on Highview Road in Lee Summit is real large round circle. This is going to be a real small round circle. And it's real conflicting, and you almost see wrecks almost every day because people don't know when to go right, how to cut around the curve to go straight. And I think that's the same thing on the real large, nice ones. It's the same thing, just learning it. But I just think it's too narrow for it. And I have seen them, and they are pretty, but that area is just really too narrow for it. So when you leave here, take a ride through there and see how you like going through there with all those cones knocked down.
Very good. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yes. Ms. Kennedy, I just want to sort of say really, a couple things. One, this is a reflection, and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a reflection of ongoing projects that have been underway for some time. Does not reflect the work of the sales tax that was just passed. So
Okay.
I want to make sure that's first thing. And second, thank you for your support of the sales tax.
Okay.
And we're gracious of that. But in terms of the sales tax and the budget that we just approved earlier today, I do know that quite a bit of the efforts, especially when we're talking about expansion of community center hours, impacts all of our community centers
Yes.
throughout the system, including those that are on the east side of town. I do know that we have, Mark, I might be wrong in this, but over half of our parks and boulevards sit east.
Yes, it's
East-
over 50% are east of Truist, that's correct.
And
Okay.
that I do know we had done recently an assessment of just that and the amount of improvements that, because as we were out advocating, we had a lot of these questions about, well, what are you doing for this part of town?
Okay.
And it was pretty significant, the work that we were doing, and maybe what we could do is provide that to Ms.
Yeah, we're
Kennedy, because
glad
I think
to.
it'd be
Well, see,
helpful.
the thing is, a lot of the things that you do, the surrounding neighborhoods never hear about it till it's done. Like the dog park, we never knew about the dog park till they cut the ribbon. So the things that you do, we never know what you're doing until it's done, and a lot of times it's unnoticed what you're doing.
Understood.
So that's my point, the point, that we don't know what you're doing, and it looks like you're not doing anything. I
Well,
just say it
rest
like that.
assured, we are,
Okay.
and I want us to make sure that what we're doing is communicating with you, and then if there's others we need to be communicating with to let them know the good work that we're doing
Yeah.
all throughout the city, including in the neighborhoods that you're so passionate about, that we make sure we do that as well.
Okay, and another thing, that Southeast Community Center,
Yes, ma'am.
that swimming pool has been down all summer. I think you need to knock that whole thing out and make a lap-size pool, because that would be more like a first-class,
Excuse me.
Southeast Community Center.
Yes.
Like you have a pool going down north, a big outside, but when you have 100 degrees weather, the water is too hot, people don't want to go down to it, and I don't think you should do any kind of improvement to that, child-sized swimming pool with 1 to 3 inches of water. I think you have enough property there that you could take a jackhammer and knock out all that concrete and make a decent lap-sized pool. It would enhance the Southeast Community Center, and I think we would get more people to join it.
Very good. Thank you for your
Okay.
comments.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other public comments?
Hi,
Hello?
my name is Marquita Henry, and I wanted to talk to you about the roundabout that you have up there.
Okay.
I have a petition going, and I started it when we had the election, and I talked to a lot of people that lives in this area. Nobody wants that. So I don't know. When we were on TV, he said, well, the stop signs are not coming back. You can just forget that. I heard him when he said that when we were on TV on Channel 4 the other week. Well, they may not be coming back, but if he keeps that turnaround up there, I guess we're gonna have to go up there and set so they don't put it in, because they can't, that won't go for us. It's too dangerous.
Is that the objection to the danger of it? I mean, is there any other objection? I mean,
It's just too dangerous. That's my objection, it's too dangerous, because people almost get hit every day going through there. And if you don't know exactly where you're going, and I know it because I live right down from it, but people be running over you because they don't know where they're going. So they run over you. So it's just too dangerous for us. And I was gonna talk to you about more money going into, I see you're putting more money into the dog park. And that maybe already been allocated before we voted on this money. But money going into the dog park, my neighborhood do not use a dog park. Now, I was coming up here when they were talking about Ward Parkway, wasn't it that dog park over on 87th Street? And you all didn't give that to them over there. But they also told you that they wasn't gonna come over here and use it over here in Soul Parkway. They said that right here in this meeting. They're not coming over here because they're scared. So I don't know why that you all put so much money into it, because they're not gonna come over here and use it, that's what they said. And we keep our dogs in the yard and play with them in the yard. We don't have to take no dogs out to no park. Take children to the park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we want to do a calendar review?
Yes, let's get into the holiday season. Heidi mentioned a few activities. Of course, a lot of them, those are in the month of December. As we kind of wrap up the month of November, there's a Platte County Parks Partners tomorrow, their normal location in Zona Rosa. And then Liberty Memorial has their annual meeting. They have their Board of Trustees at 4. And then I think what happens on that, there's a reception at 6, and then they have their annual meeting, I believe, after that. Carmen, I believe that's correct? So that goes from like 6 on. And then no board meeting next Tuesday, the 20th. Then the Thanksgiving holiday, followed by our next board meeting, the 27th. And Starlight has a meeting the 29th, which is a change on date, I believe that is. Is that correct? That would have been a Tuesday instead. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the month of December gets busy with all the holiday activities.
Yes.
Do we have a location for that City of Fountains board meeting on the 5th, Carmen?
I'm not sure what I'll have.
Okay, I see that.
I forgot who said they were hosting that meeting.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember from our last meeting, but we'll find out for you. It's that day, you need to pinpoint the location.
Rich. Okay.
That wraps up the month.
Anything else? All right, with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.